What's doing, everybody? Welcome to the channel. I hope everybody's all right out there. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, check out the content. Everybody else, welcome back. Welcome back. As many of you have heard, on the date of May 1st, there was a case out in Cincinnati where an 18-year-old was killed by a police officer. He was shot and killed. And then in retaliation to that, the victim's father, the kid that was killed, ran over a sheriff and killed the sheriff in retaliation for his son being shot. And so I'm going to get into the facts of this case and fill you in about what has transpired, why it's transpired. As you know, I don't deal with the misinformation that is online. And that's what inspired me to make this video. The amount of misinformation, the amount of hate again, the amount of lies, and the ignorant comments that are being put forth by certain groups of people is so ridiculous and outlandish that I feel the facts of the case need to really be put out there in a way that those of you that are watching can comprehend it, easily. I deal with the facts. I'm a critical thinker. I don't take in the nonsense that people are putting out there. I study the case from different areas and then analyze it from different angles, and I base my opinion on those things. So I'll get right into the case. I have a few short videos to show you regarding everything, and it really is a shame that so many people are justifying the father running over the sheriff and killing the sheriff in retaliation for his son being shot. That is the sad reality of people's incompetence, and we'll get to that in a minute. So, as I said, the case took place on May 1st inside of Cincinnati, and there were four young men, ages 18. Three of them were ages 18. One was 19 years old, and the young man that was killed, his name was Ryan Hinton. He was 18 years old, Ryan Hinton, and he had stolen a car with three of his friends, or was in this stolen vehicle, and police received a location of this stolen vehicle in a parking lot, and they rolled up on the vehicle, and four suspects got out and ran and took off, and the police gave chase. And when the police gave chase, Ryan Hinton fell down by a set of dumpsters. I'm going to show you the clip in a minute. Fell down by a set of dumpsters, and when he hit the ground, a gun fell out of his hand, and the officer saw this. He picked up the gun. He ran in between the two dumpsters. That's when the officer called out and said, "Gun, gun." And as he came out from between the other two dumpsters with the gun in his hand, another officer fired two shots. When he says the gun was pointed in his direction, he fired like four or five shots. Two of the shots hit Ryan Hinton, and they performed CPR, but it was ineffective, and he died, I believe, at the scene right there. And so after this took place, the entire incident, from the time the police got out of the car to the moment of the shooting, was 6 seconds. 6 seconds. That's how fast and how quick this officer had to make a decision, within 6 seconds. And two of the other men were apprehended as well, not far from the scene. They ran, and the fourth one was caught later on, not the same day. They ended up catching him the same day. Um, after that happened, there was some backlash on YouTube, on Instagram, on social websites, saying that the officers fired too fast, and the officers didn't have justification for shooting him. And I'm going to get right into the heart of this. And if I was the officer, and remember, this is coming from me, a guy who was in prison for 17 years, a guy who was a criminal when I was younger and committed a lot of illegal acts. You would think, people think, that someone like me just sides with the criminal. And that's not true. I don't side with anyone. I side with the facts. And if the police do something that's right, then I state that they're right. If the police do something that's wrong, I'll say that they're wrong. And in this case, if I'm the police officer, from what I've seen and the facts I have, I'm shooting this kid too. Because I want to go home to my wife and kids if I'm the police officer. I want to live if I'm the police officer. And so you have 4 kids in a stolen car that are running in different directions. They have weapons. There was another weapon discovered in the car. There was a weapon on the person of the kid who was fleeing, of Ryan Hinton, who was fleeing. He had a weapon on him. He also had a extended magazine that was fully loaded with ammunition. He had another clip of ammunition inside of his sweater or inside of his jacket. And how is anyone going to say that that shooting is not justified, right? The police did not create the situation. Ryan Hinton created the situation by stealing a car. Ryan Hinton created the situation by carrying a weapon. Ryan Hinton instigated the situation by trying to flee from a felony, right? And the officer did what he had to do in that situation. So you small percentage of people that are trying to say that the cop is not justified, I'll just say straight out, you're as stupid as they come. You know what I mean? And if it's a case of you siding with the kid because he's the same race as you, or you're siding with the kid because you're against cops, then you're even more stupid than I believed, right? Because you don't judge situations based on things like that. Okay, so the police of Cincinnati gave a full disclosure of everything. They were transparent. They released the video right away. It is a blurry video. It's not the greatest quality. It's only 6 seconds long. They are going to release another video. Let me show you the video real quick. Here, check this out.
Thank you so much. We are leading the way on that breaking news today. Cincinnati police sharing new details about a chase that led to a suspect being shot and killed by police over in East Price Hill.
The mayor and Cincinnati's police chief sharing body camera video of the incident. WLWT News 5's Danielle Dindak heard from Chief Thigi directly. Danielle, what did that video show?
Yes, Stephen, this all unfolded very, very quickly. We're talking about 6 seconds from the time that officer got out of his vehicle until he shot and killed that armed suspect. So I want to have you take a look at some of this video as I explained to you what Chief Thigi broke down for us today. So she said this all started with a stolen Kia out of Edgewood, Kentucky that was spotted at the complex on Warsaw Avenue. When officers arrived, they saw 4 suspects take off running. Thigi said officers took different suspects to follow. One suspect was armed with a gun, and at one point, with officers saying he did hit the ground and that gun hit the ground. That person then ran between the dumpsters, and officers yelled out that that person had a gun. Another officer who was chasing another person at the time came in contact with that armed suspect, and that's when that officer fired off 4 to 5 shots. That man was hit twice and then was given medical care right away, but he did die. Officers did find a gun on him with an extended magazine and another in his pocket.
Unfortunately, this is a potential outcome when you interact with police and you are armed with a weapon, whether it's an edged weapon, a firearm, or if you fail to comply, you're armed and you fail to comply with what an officer says. This is where we end up. And it is unfortunate, it is preventable, and no officer wants to go through this. I don't want families to go through this. But at the end of the day, we have to provide the safest city that we can provide.
Now, Thigi did go on to say that during an interview, the officer said that the suspect pointed a gun at him and he did feel threatened, for his life. Now, we also learned that there was another stolen gun found in that stolen car. Lots to unpack here, and we'll have much more coming up for you later on at 4, 5, and 6. Reporting live, Danielle Dindak, WLWT News 5.
Danielle Dindak leading the way for us on this story. Danielle, thank you so much. Now, there were other suspects involved here. 2 of them in that stolen vehicle were eventually apprehended, and they made their first court appearance this morning. Jarrell Austin and DeAnthony Bullocks are accused of receiving stolen property and obstructing official business. A 4th person is still on the run. Austin is being held on a $50,000 bond. Bullock's bond is set at $40,000.
As you see, it was, very quick, very fast, but that was the news story from when everything happened. After this incident, the police called the Hinton family in to view the videotape, to view the body camera footage. After they viewed the body camera footage, the father, Rodney Hinton Jr., got up and walked out of the police station after he saw the footage of his son being shot. And within 2 hours, he got in a car and he purposely plowed into a sheriff, Larry Henderson. Larry Henderson was a 33 year retired veteran of the sheriff's department, and he was in the middle of the street conducting uh, traffic, doing traffic control, when he purposely ran him over and killed him. It was premeditated murder. Okay. So let me show you the video of that as well. Let me show you the video of that. Check out this video.
Next tonight, authorities in Ohio say the man who allegedly rammed his car into a sheriff's deputy, killing him, did so intentionally. The suspect appearing in court today is the father of an 18-year-old killed in an officer-involved shooting on Thursday. The suspect charged with aggravated murder. Here's ABC's Christian Cordero.
Tonight, authorities say the shooting of an 18-year-old captured on police body cam is connected to the death of an Ohio deputy after that teen's father allegedly hit him with a car a day later. Prosecutors say the attack was calculated and premeditated. Cincinnati PD responding to reports of a stolen Kia at an apartment building Thursday morning. 4 suspects then fleeing police. Among them, 18-year-old Ryan Hinton. Body camera shows Hinton fall as he tries to run away. Police say they heard a metal clinking sound they believe was a gun.
He's got a gun! He's got a gun! On your right! On your right! He's got a gun!
As Hinton emerges from behind a dumpster, authorities say another officer firing 4 or 5 shots.
The officer says that he saw the suspect point the firearm at him.
Yes. Just 6 seconds passed between when police arrived and gunshots rang out. Officials say they tried administering medical aid. Hinton was struck twice and died. Investigators saying this gun was recovered from the scene allegedly found in Hinton's possession. On Friday, a day after that shooting and 2 hours after the Hinton family reviewed the body camera footage, according to the family's lawyer, a driver crashing a car into a Hamilton County deputy directing traffic near a commencement ceremony, killing him. The suspect, authorities say, is Ryan Hinton's father, Rodney Hinton Jr. Hinton's attorney calling the officer's death a horrific tragedy. At his first court appearance today, Hinton walked through a room packed with law enforcement. He's now charged with aggravated murder. The Hamilton County Sheriff says the deputy's death was a tremendous loss. Hinton Jr. is currently being held on no bail. His bond hearing scheduled for Tuesday.
Christian Cordero, thank you.
That was an intentional murder. As you heard, he is now in custody with no bail, right? And he's facing the death penalty for that. He's facing life in prison or the death penalty. You know, I'm sure he's going to try and say that he was so distraught. I bet you his attorney goes for the insanity plea. That's my opinion. And I'll explain something to you about the insanity plea. The insanity plea is when you plead either guilty or not guilty by reasons of insanity. And what has to be proven to a jury or to the judge is that you were insane at the time of the crime. All he has to prove is that he was not in the right frame of mind at the time he ran that sheriff over. It doesn't matter how he was a day before. It doesn't matter how he was a week before. All that matters is at the time of the crime, he wasn't in the right frame of mind. And I'm sure the lawyer's only argument is going to be that after Rodney Hinton saw the video of his son being murdered, that he was so distraught that he wasn't in the right frame of mind, he wasn't thinking straight, and he got into the car, and 2 hours later, he plowed this sheriff down. This poor sheriff. Let me show you a picture of the sheriff right there. That's the sheriff. That's Larry Henderson that was run over. You know, what a shame that this guy, I'm sure he had a wife, I'm sure he had children, I'm sure he had an extended family, you know, and what a shame that this guy was run down. And he was run down by, again, I'll show you a picture of Rodney Hinton, who ran him over. That is Rodney Hinton right there. You know, And people will say, well, Rodney Hinton, his son, Ryan Hinton, he had a family too. He had brothers and sisters that loved him too. Yeah, but the sheriff wasn't running around committing felonies. The sheriff wasn't running around with an illegal gun. The sheriff wasn't running around, doing criminal activity. So he didn't bring it upon himself like Ryan Hinton did. And Rodney Hinton, the father that ran him over, had a criminal history already. He had been charged with assault in the past. He had been charged with aggravated menacing in 2023. So the father had a criminal record already, right? No hint why the son was running around committing crime, because the father was running around committing crime. These aren't opinions; these were facts. The father was an unemployed guy. He became a father to Ryan when he was 20 years old, and this is the unfortunate incident that happened here. The three kids, they're not kids, they're young men. They're old enough to be in the military. Let me show you the picture of the three thugs that were in the car with Ryan Hinton. Those are the three thugs, right? One, his name is Jarrell Austin, age 18 years old. He had a criminal record already at 18 years old for allegedly shooting a man. He had been arrested for shooting a man. He had a violent case that stemmed from October 14, 2024. The other kid in the middle, Sincere Grisby, 18, he was on probation, so he had a criminal record as well. And then you have DeAnthony Bullocks, age 19, right? And he had a criminal record as well. Let me read a little of the criminal record to you, what these three guys have from the past, right? It came out on Friday that Austin has a pending violent felony case. He's accused of shooting a man across Gilbert Avenue on October 14, 2024 in Cincinnati. They arrested him on December 23, 2024. He faced 3 counts of felony assault and a single count of firing a firearm at or near prohibited premises, which means he fired a gun near a school. That's what the court record showed. When Austin was arrested on Thursday, he was out of jail in that case after posting a $50,000 bond. The other one, Bullocks, has a history of being in stolen cars and then fleeing police in them and on foot, court records alleged. Springfield Township Police charged Bullock last year with failure to comply with police, obstructing official business, and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle on September 30th, 2024. Police wrote in their criminal complaint that the charges were based on him being the driver of a confirmed stolen black Mazda SUV and fleeing from the scene in it. When the stop sticks were disabled, the stolen SUV, he jumped out and he ran across 6 lanes of traffic on I-275 at night. He was released on his own recognizance and ordered to stay home with time out only to attend school. The charge of unauthorized use of a motor vehicle was dropped the following month. That's our liberal courts, of course. This is absolutely crazy, absolutely insane what's going on. In this case, back to Ryan Hinton, 18 years old, being killed. They stole a Kia, right? They stole a Kia, and the cops rolled up on him. Now the father is facing life. He's facing life in prison. The family also spoke at a press conference, right? Let me play you the family video because the family actually seems to have some sense. It doesn't seem like the it doesn't seem like the Carmelo Anthony family. This family seems like they're a little more in touch with reality, right? Especially the grandfather. Let me play that video of the family at the press conference right here. Check this out right there.
Craig, Tanya, a very emotional news conference wrapping up. You had family members multiple times breaking down into tears. It's obvious that this is still very fresh and very painful for them. We heard from attorneys representing the estate of Ryan Hinton, along with his own family, grandfather, grandmother, little sister, cousin. They wanted to share more about how they are remembering Hinton after his death. But the press conference began with attorneys offering condolences to the family of retired Hamilton County Sheriff's Deputy Larry Henderson. They'd consider his death another tragic loss. Family called the media here to speak on the life of Ryan Hinton, but also to raise questions after reviewing body camera footage from his death. Their main question is this: was the officer justified in using deadly force?
As I seen in the video about my grandson, I seen two scared people. I seen the officer scared, and I seen my grandson scared. So it's an unfortunate incident that happened. So that's all I seen. It was like, I didn't see the police there trying to kill. No. What I seen was two persons made a mistake. My grandson made a mistake being there, and the officer, he was trying to get back to his family too.
We're also learning more new information tonight. Hinton's family says he attended Don High School before it shut down. He was not in school at the time of his death. Family and attorneys didn't dispute otherwise that Hinton was sitting in a stolen car or had a gun on him at the time of the incident. His cousin says, however, he should not have been in that stolen car because he was locked out of the house the night before.
I was asleep. Ryan, I'm so sorry. This was never supposed to happen to you. Ever. I'm so sorry, Ryan. I'm so sorry, Ryan. Just know he won't supposed to be there.
Like we said, a very, very emotional press conference that wrapped up about an hour ago. The family is asking the public not to rush to judgment. Their attorneys are reviewing every report and angle of the incident they can get their hands on. At that point, attorneys say they will announce what, if any, steps they will take. We also asked about Ryan's father, Rodney Hinton Jr. Family did not want to take many questions regarding him, though we can tell you he faces aggravated murder charges, and he will be back in court tomorrow for a bond hearing. He's currently in custody at the Claremont County Jail. We're live in Corryville. Connor Steffen, WCPO 9 News.
So as you see, the family is very emotional, very, very sad. They lost their son. But the fact of the matter is this. The grandfather said in the statement that this case is not so cut and dry, and what he means by that is that they would like a better view of the actual shooting, that maybe he didn't point the gun at the cop. Maybe the cop wasn't justified in shooting him. Bullshit. The cop was justified. That's my opinion. The cop was justified. I understand they're upset that they lost a family member, but you're talking about felons who were shooting people, who were robbing cars, who were committing felonies, who were running away from the scene with loaded weapons. And if I'm the cop, like I said, I'm going home to my family. You know what I mean? The cops don't wait for you to shoot them first. Does that even sound logical to you? If a cop is going to wait for you to shoot at him first? If you have a loaded gun, if you have a loaded gun and you're running with that loaded gun and you face me, I'm blowing you away. I would expect to be shot if I was a criminal and I was stealing a car and I was running with a gun in my hand. I would expect to be shot by the police officer. So it's really insane that these people have these warped and twisted opinions that the officer did something wrong. Right? The officer didn't do anything wrong. Okay? Even if he didn't point the gun at him, you got 6 seconds to make a decision right there. Right? And as we see, the father who ran over the sheriff, right? Obviously, he didn't teach his kid the right way to live. Obviously, he wasn't teaching his kids morals and values. Right? Really, really sad and unfortunate, man. Reality, but that's what happens. You know what I mean? That's what happens when you break the law. Situations spiral out of control real fast, and you risk being shot by the cops, man, when you do stuff like that. Right? There's no more explanation needed after that. And now the father goes and kills this sheriff. He's definitely dying in prison for that. The father. He's not making it out of prison. And he's going to have a real hard time in prison for being in there for running over an innocent sheriff on 33 years on the department. You guys know the way correctional officers are. You know, you've been following the case of Robert Brooks and how tough correctional officers could be. You should see what they do to cop killers in prison. I witnessed what they do to cop killers, you know, in the prison system. So that father is going to have a hard time. He didn't justify his son's death. He didn't justify it at all. He didn't even kill the man that killed his son. He just picked an innocent sheriff to run over, you know? And so all the people with the comments that this father was trying to justify his son, or I heard people say it's about time people stand up to them. That's not standing up to anyone. That is just pure stupidity, pure ignorance, pure incompetence, and animalistic behavior from people who are acting like true animals, who don't know how to conduct themselves in society. The father didn't know how to do it. The son didn't know how to do it. His friends didn't know how to do it. And all those kids are lucky they all didn't get blown away by the police officers. They're not out there. The police officers aren't taught and trained how to act. They're taught how to react to situations because they have to react to situations that unfold in front of them. And sometimes there's not a lot of time to react. And it's unfortunate, but that's the reality of it, you know? So those are the facts of the case. And I wanted to put you up to date on them. And for those of you that never heard about the case, now you heard about it. Now you understand exactly what happened and what's going down. And don't pay attention to all the other nonsense you hear about this case. That's what happened. And it really was that simple. All right. You guys take care. Have a good one. And I'll catch up with you on another video soon. Have a good weekend. Weekend's coming up. Hopefully it stops raining. It's raining here in New York. Take care, guys.